They always say the worst part is when you first find out, like the betrayal hits you all at once like a punch. But that wasn't how it happened for me. It was slower, quieter, like a bruise that showed up before I even knew I'd been hit. I was 46, a high school teacher in Missoula, Montana, U.S. history, if it matters, and I'd been married to Stephanie for 14 years. We had a daughter, Lucy, who was 8 and still believed in fairy tales, which was ironic, given how fast ours was falling apart. It started the night she said she needed space, not in an angry way, more like she was asking for time to figure herself out. And I played it cool, nodded like it made perfect sense, because I believed her. God help me, I really did. But here's the twist, the early gut punch I mentioned. 3 days later, I got an email from our internet provider. One of those account alerts. Someone had accessed our network from an unfamiliar device. I clicked through on instinct, just a little irritated, thinking maybe it was Lucy on a new tablet. Nope, it was a laptop I didn't recognize, registered under a name I'd never heard before. Benji. Benji, as it turns out, wasn't just a guy. He was the guy. I traced the IP to a nearby hotel, the Blue Mountain Inn, the kind with a vague woodsy charm and a very specific room service menu. I didn't tell her I knew. Not yet. Instead, I did what I do best. I watched. I waited. I gathered. Now, here's where I admit something I'm not proud of. During those weeks, when she thought I was just giving her space, letting her explore herself, as she so gracefully put it, I started collecting everything. Not out of vengeance. Not at first. More out of disbelief. Chat logs. Private emails. Pictures she left open on the family laptop. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning to take Lucy and move with this man to Oregon. Eugene, specifically. Some little craftsman rental they'd bookmarked together on Zillow. That's when something inside me shifted. It wasn't rage. It wasn't heartbreak. It was resolve. A quiet, bitter kind that doesn't need a scream. It just sharpens. The kicker? She thought I'd be the kind of guy who'd go quietly, that I'd just hand over custody because she cried in front of a mediator and said she needed a fresh start. Missoula isn't a big town, but it's one where people remember who shows up. I showed up. Every parent-teacher night. Every dentist visit. Every daycare pickup when Steph got stuck at yoga or needed mental clarity. I kept receipts, figuratively and literally. She underestimated how much one man can take before he draws a line in the sand, and how calmly he can do it when the stakes are everything. And that was just the beginning. There's a drawer in my garage, third one down on the left, the one with the jammed rail and the duct tape patch on the front. That's where I started storing things. Notebooks, flash drives, even a printed screenshot or two that I didn't trust to live on the cloud. It was funny in a grim kind of way. I was treating my own marriage like a cold case. And the suspect? Sleeping 3 feet away, every night, breathing soft and steady like nothing was wrong. I'd sit in my car sometimes after work, keys still in the ignition, just watching the porch light flicker. She'd leave it on for me. That used to mean something. Now it felt like bait. A little signal saying, come inside. Play dumb. Let me keep lying. She was still calling me babe then. Still offering me dinner. Still asking if I needed anything from the store. That was the cruelest part, honestly. The performance of normal. Like we were both in some high school play, where she was cast as the loving wife, and I was the oblivious husband fumbling his lines. But I wasn't fumbling. I was watching, documenting, building a case. And it wasn't just about Ben. It was about Lucy. The moment I saw a chat log where Steph joked about starting over with her new family, just the 3 of them, no baggage, something in me went cold. She was calling her daughter baggage. Like Lucy was a suitcase she regretted packing. That's when I knew this wasn't just a love affair. It was an erasure. Of me. Of our child. Of everything we built. I started calling lawyers. Quietly. Discreetly. I spoke with one guy out of Bozeman who specialized in family law. He told me, bluntly, that if I wanted full custody, I needed more than screenshots. I needed to show a pattern of instability, neglect, selfishness, not just cheating, because courts don't punish infidelity. They punish bad parenting. So I waited. I watched, and I documented. There was a time she forgot to pick Lucy up from piano lessons because she was at a workshop, which I later confirmed was just a wine bar downtown, tagged on Instagram. There were emails between her and her boss, suggesting a sudden drop in performance. Missed deadlines. Mood swings. Her whole life was unraveling, and she thought no one noticed. But I noticed. I had to. I never thought I'd be the kind of man who'd weaponize the truth. But when someone threatens to take your daughter away, to rewrite the story like you were just a footnote, you stop playing fair. You sharpen your truths like knives. and I had a drawer full of blades. The day she told me she was taking Lucy to Eugene, I didn't even flinch. That's how far gone I was. I just nodded like she was telling me she needed almond milk from a store. I'd already seen the Zillow listings, already read the email thread between her, and been debating school districts in which preschool had more natural light. I asked when she was planning to leave, calm, measured, not letting on that I had 2 voice recordings and a notarized timeline tucked in my safe. She said she wasn't sure yet, that she still had to work through the logistics. What she didn't know was that I had already worked through all the logistics. I had a custody motion drafted, waiting for the moment she made her move. I had a printout of Lucy's school records showing my signature on every document, every emergency contact form with only my number listed because Steph had stopped showing up to those meetings a year ago. What hit me hardest wasn't her betrayal. It was the way she talked about leaving with our daughter like it was nothing, like Lucy was just luggage. It was in the way she said, "I think Lucy would do better near the coast," like she was picking out wallpaper. That casual cruelty, that coldness, it did more damage than any affair ever could. There's a thing that happens when you're the stable one in a relationship. You get so used to being the fixer, the one who holds the chaos together, that when someone else sets fire to the house, you're still standing there with a hose long after the flames have eaten everything. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. I wanted the silence. I wanted her to think I was numb, too stunned to act. Because then she'd be careless. And I needed careless. That weekend, she went hiking, her new favorite excuse, and Lucy stayed with me. We went to the carousel downtown, the one near the Clark Fork River. She rode her favorite horse, the chipped one with the blue eyes, and I took a photo. She looked so happy, so untouched by all of it. And I realized then, this wasn't about revenge. It never had been. It was about protection. I emailed my lawyer that night and hit send. The day we walked into court, she looked surprised to see me in a suit. Not just any suit, the one she bought me 5 years ago for a wedding we never ended up attending because she got food poisoning the night before. Or so she said. Funny how betrayal leaves breadcrumbs if you look hard enough. She expected me to be disheveled, broken, maybe even desperate enough to beg for shared custody. But I wasn't any of those things. I was prepared. Her lawyer, young, sharp, a little too smug, went in swinging. Tried to paint her as the nurturing mother, the spiritual soul who just wanted a simpler life for her and Lucy. Talked about Oregon like it was some kind of sanctuary, like fresh air could erase the fact that she tried to erase me. But I had more than words. I had timestamps. I had school pickup logs, medical visits she skipped, Lucy's therapist notes, the ones that gently hinted at emotional inconsistencies at home. Most damning of all, a journal entry Lucy's teacher had kept. Apparently, Lucy once said she didn't like when mommy's boyfriend yells at the TV during cartoons. That hit harder than any exhibit. I didn't gloat. I didn't smirk. I just watched as her expression cracked, piece by piece. Like she finally realized this wasn't a story she could charm her way out of. The judge wasn't harsh, just quiet, thoughtful. He asked questions about routines, schedules, stability. And when it was my turn to speak, I didn't talk about love or betrayal or who hurt who first. I talked about cereal. I told him how Lucy liked exactly 2 Cheerios and 4 strawberries in her bowl every morning. How she panicked if she couldn't find her purple socks. How she only falls asleep if you hum that same off-key lullaby I made up on a whim 6 years ago. I made the case for a father, not for revenge. When it was over, the judge looked at her with a kind of sad sympathy. Then he looked at me. Then at Lucy, who was drawing dinosaurs in the corner of the courtroom, completely unaware that her future had just been decided. He ruled in my favor. Sole custody. Her face didn't fall. It collapsed, and I felt nothing. Just a strange emptiness. Like I'd finally exorcised a ghost that had been living inside me for too long. It took her exactly 6 days to come back for her things. 6 days of silence. And then one morning, I heard gravel shift in the driveway and looked out the window to see her standing there, engine still running, hair pulled back like she was headed to yoga, like this was just another errand she didn't really want to run. She didn't knock. I watched her from the kitchen, just standing there with a cardboard box, waiting like she still had a right to hesitate. Lucy was at school. I'd arranged that on purpose. There was no way I was going to let my daughter see her mother pull up like an Amazon delivery and disappear again. She finally came in, barely made eye contact. She walked past the living room, past the hallway where Lucy's latest art project still hung, the one Steph hadn't even noticed the last time she was here. I stayed quiet, let her move like a stranger in a house she used to own half of. She picked up a few framed photos, some clothes. One of the succulents from the bathroom windowsill. Left behind the anniversary card I wrote last year that she never opened. Before she left, she paused at the entryway and looked at me like she wanted something, maybe permission to say she was sorry. Or maybe just validation that she still mattered. I didn't give her either. She left without a word. After the door closed, I just stood there in the stillness, wondering how many more ghosts I'd have to sweep out of this place. It's strange how quiet a house can get when the lies finally leave. The silence wasn't peaceful. Not yet. It was the kind that echoes like a bell that keeps ringing even after the clapper stops. That night, I found one of her earrings under the couch. Cheap, tarnished, probably dropped weeks ago. I almost threw it away. Instead, I dropped it in the same drawer where I kept the evidence. Just one more relic. One more reminder. It didn't take long for the neighbors to start talking. Missoula's not exactly Mayberry, but people notice when a second car stops showing up in the driveway and the porch light stays off for 3 nights straight. Linda from across the street brought over a casserole. She's the kind of person who wraps sympathy in cheese and cream of mushroom soup. Told me she'd been praying for our family. I thanked her, set the dish in the fridge, and didn't touch it. I couldn't stomach anything that soft. Then there was Tom, the guy with the rusted truck who always mowed his lawn at 7 a.m. on Saturdays. He just nodded at me one morning and said, "You doing all right?" Not nosy, just quiet recognition. The kind of check-in that means more than people realize. I told him I was fine. I wasn't. Truth is, I spent most nights on the couch, half watching reruns of shows I'd already memorized. The silence in the house had changed shape. It wasn't echoing anymore. It was settling, nesting, becoming part of the walls. I could feel it in the way the floor creaked differently, in how Lucy's room felt colder, even when the thermostat said 72. She never asked where her mom went. Not directly, just started clinging to me more. Slept with the hallway light on. Drew more pictures of just us, stick figures holding hands with big hearts floating above. One night, she left one of them taped to my pillow. No note, just a drawing. I stared at it for an hour before I finally tucked it into the drawer with the rest of the evidence. Because that, too, was proof that even a child could feel who stayed and who disappeared. Steph called once. Just once. Said she wanted to talk. Her voice was thin, cracked at the edges, like she was trying to sound stronger than she was. I told her it wasn't a good time. Hung up before she could pretend she called for Lucy. The thing about betrayal is it doesn't just change how you see the person who broke you. It changes how you see yourself. I used to think I was just a quiet man, the background type. Steady. Safe. Now I know better. I'm the one who stayed. The email came on Tuesday. Subject line, "Let's talk for Lucy's sake." It sat in my inbox for 3 days before I opened it. Not because I didn't care. If anything, I cared too much. But I knew what was waiting. I'd seen this movie before. The remorseful mother trying to rewrite the script now that the audience had turned on her. The message was short. Said she missed Lucy. Said she wanted to see her. Said it wasn't fair that I got to make all the decisions now. That she felt shut out. That she still deserved a place in Lucy's life. She used the word deserved. That stuck with me. Deserve implies entitlement. Like she'd earned something. But what exactly had she earned? The right to take a child and disappear across state lines? The right to play house with a man she barely knew while her daughter clung to bedtime routines like a lifeline? I didn't respond. Not because I wanted to punish her. Because I couldn't afford to open the door she'd walked out of. Lucy was doing better. Slowly. Quietly. Her laughter had returned. Cautious, like a dog that's been kicked too many times but still wants to play. She made a new friend at school. Started drawing again. Her eyes stopped darting to the front door every time someone knocked. I wasn't going to undo that just because Steph was lonely. What nobody tells you about being the parent who stays. The one who shows up to every teacher conference, packs every lunch, remembers every dentist appointment, is how invisible it makes you. There's no applause. No parades. You just do it. And some days you do it on empty. But Lucy noticed. Maybe not in words, but in the way she leaned against me when she was tired. The way she asked for me when she had a bad dream. The way she whispered, "I don't miss her" one night, even though I knew she did. Steph sent another email a week later. I didn't open that one at all. The first time I saw Ben, really saw him, was at the grocery store off Reserve Street, standing in the produce aisle like a man who'd never picked out a vegetable in his life. He was holding a bag of organic kale, like it might explode. I almost walked past. Almost. But something in me wanted to see, not to confront, not to fight. I didn't even feel anger anymore, just a strange curiosity. Like when you drive past a house you used to live in and wonder who painted over the walls you once built your life around. He didn't recognize me at first. I wasn't in court mode, wasn't a name in a document or a shadow in the courtroom gallery. I was just another guy grabbing apples. But when he looked up, our eyes met and something shifted. His posture changed, like he realized exactly who I was. He didn't say anything. I didn't either. But that moment, that quiet, wordless beat, it told me everything I needed to know. He looked tired. Not in the way new love makes you tired, but in the way reality does. The kind of tired that comes after you realize the person who promised you freedom is just another version of the person you left. Maybe he thought she'd be different with him. Maybe he thought he'd rescued her from something. But all he did was swap one story for another, and this one didn't have a fairy tale ending. Just receipts and baggage. I checked out without saying a word. Back home, Lucy asked what was for dinner. I told her spaghetti, the kind with the cheesy garlic toast she loved. She clapped her hands and ran to set the table like nothing in the world had ever gone wrong. And for a moment, just one, I believed her. There's a photo on our fridge, one of the few that survived the purge. It's from a camping trip we took up near Sealy Lake, back when Lucy was 5 and everything still looked like it might be okay. I'm crouched next to the fire pit, marshmallow stick in hand, and Steph is laughing at something just out of frame. Lucy's got chocolate smeared on her cheek and both hands in the air like she's casting a spell. Sometimes I catch myself staring at that photo too long. Not because I miss her. That version of Steph, the one in the photo, I'm not even sure she existed. I think I was in love with an outline, and I colored in the rest myself. Hope will do that to a man. It fills in the blanks, makes up stories to justify what your gut already knows. I haven't told Lucy everything. Of course I haven't. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that love sometimes folds itself into a shape so sharp it cuts through the people it's supposed to protect? She's asked a few times why mommy doesn't call much anymore. I say things like she's busy or she needs time. She nods, but I can tell she's starting to understand more than I want her to. Kids see through us more than we realize, especially when they've had to. The other day, she asked if we could go back to the lake someday. Said she remembered the frogs and how the tent smelled like sunscreen and dirt. I told her we would, and I meant it. But next time, it'll just be the two of us. No ghosts, no outlines, no pretending. Just real. Just us. The funny thing is, people assume there's a moment, a single clean break where the pain stops and healing starts. Like it's linear. Like one day you're heartbroken, and the next you're whole. That's not how it works. It comes in strange, quiet waves. Like when I find her handwriting on an old post-it note stuck in the junk drawer, a grocery list probably. Or when I catch a whiff of her perfume on the scarf Lucy wears in the winter, the one Steph gave her 2 Christmases ago. It doesn't shatter me anymore, but it still knocks the wind out of me just a little. I never hated her. That's the hardest part to explain. Even after everything, the lies, the affair, the plan to take my daughter and vanish, I don't think I ever truly hated her. I pitied her because she wanted so badly to be someone else that she lit her own life on fire and walked straight into the smoke. I've made peace with the fact that I'll probably never get an apology that feels like enough. The truth is, even if she gave one, I don't know if it would land. Some wounds don't close with words. They just harden. Lucy had a school play last week. She was a tree. One of those cardboard costume, shy smile, spot Latana gym stage kind of trees. And I sat in the front row, holding back tears like a fool because she looked so proud just to be there. Just to have someone in the crowd clapping just for her. I sent Steph the video. Didn't say anything. No commentary. Just a file. She didn't respond. And maybe that's the closest we'll ever get to understanding each other. Passing reminders back and forth in silence. Both pretending that silence doesn't hurt. It's been over a year now. The drawer in the garage. The one with the evidence, the emails, the photos, the court transcripts, even that single earring. I haven't opened it in months. Not because I forgot. I could never forget. But because I no longer need to remember. That drawer used to feel like armor. Like if I kept the truth close enough, I could protect Lucy. Protect myself. Prove that I wasn't the crazy one. That I was there, even when she wasn't. But Lucy doesn't need proof anymore. She lives it every day. In the way she laughs, without hesitation now. In the way she sings in the car, off-key and loud. In the way she runs to the door when I pick her up from school, backpack swinging, cheeks red from the Montana wind. There's a peace in that. A quiet one. The kind you don't notice at first because it doesn't shout. It just settles. Moves in slowly. Rearranges the furniture inside you. Steph still sends the occasional message. I read them sometimes. Sometimes I don't. I don't know her anger anymore. I don't know her forgiveness either. We're just two people on opposite shores now. waving across a sea of choices neither of us can undo. The other day, Lucy asked why some families don't stay together. I paused, not because I didn't have an answer, but because I finally did. I told her that sometimes people forget how to be kind to each other. And when that happens, you don't stop loving them all at once. You just stop letting them hurt you. She nodded like she already knew. That night, while she slept, I went to the garage, pulled open the drawer, looked at it all one last time. Then I closed it, and this time I locked it,